Welcome to the University of Salford's film production podcast. Today, I'm going to be sharing the mic with Nikki, who is a fellow third-year student, or will be third-year student this coming year at University of Salford. We and our classmates strongly support the inclusion and representation for Black, Asian, and other unrepresented minorities on screen and behind the camera in the UK. And that's why we're doing this particular podcast today. Recently, brilliant UK director Steve McQueen wrote that UK film and TV production needs to start reflecting the diversity of the UK, not just in front of the camera, but behind it. We need to put in the infrastructure in place where people from the BAME community have better access to jobs, training and apprenticeship schemes and can further their careers. Over to you, Nikki.
Thank you. And in addition to inclusion, we want representation as well. To quote Grey's Anatomy's creator, Shonda Rhimes, there are stories that are still untold and characters that haven't been portrayed correctly, so there's work to be done still. As a young Black creative, I'm inspired by these words, and that's why I studied film production at the University of Salford, and that's why I'm pleased to join everyone here today. We're proud to welcome today's guest panel. Beth Cooper, Victoria Page, and Kenny McClendon are highly successful film and TV professionals in the UK and the US. From Manchester, we're pleased to welcome talented TV producer Beth Cooper of ITV. We're proud to know that Beth got her MA in screenwriting in University of Salford. Big up. And from the LA, we're pleased to welcome editors Victoria Page and Kenny McClendon. It's noteworthy that Victoria and Kenny have both worked with Hollywood powerhouse Shonda Rhimes. Victoria has also worked with Ava DuVernay on A Wrinkle in Time, and Kenny has worked with Mike Judge on Silicon Valley. Welcome, everyone, and please, I want to say thank you so much for coming on this podcast today and telling your stories. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Not a problem.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. So I just want to ask everyone to just tell a bit about yourselves and about your journeys.
In any particular order?
Go. Yeah, everyone decide to go first. Beth, you go first. Go ahead.
Okay. I had to open my big mouth, didn't I? So yeah, I'm Beth Cooper, and I currently work at ITV in Manchester, and I'm an edit producer specifically, and I work in the entertainment department. So not so much drama and film, but more sort of factual and editorial and entertainment. The programs that we sort of put out in the UK and specifically Manchester. So that's where I am currently. So yeah, I work mainly in post, so alongside an editor. I don't really tend to get edit producers in drama or film, but more and more they're being used in entertainment in the UK. And it's quite an involved job in edit. It's really fun actually. So yeah, not sure what else you want to know at this point.
We'll pass it on to Victoria.
Where can I start? Oh, so I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I went to college in Cincinnati, Ohio. Once I graduated from college, I knew I wanted to be in post-production, so I moved straight to California, like right after college. I sought out a trade school. It was called Video Symphony, where I knew I needed to learn more of the software, such as Avid and After Effects and all that stuff. So they were a certificate program for like a year and some months. And right after that, I did some internships with some digital media companies during my time there. And then after, I got straight into reality television. I worked as an assistant editor in the night, and then I transferred to days, and I paid my union dues. I am a part of the Motion Pictures Editors Guild, and I got my first scripted drama in like 2013 on Reckless. It was a CBS drama. Didn't make it, only season 1, but
it's still something.
It is something. You're right.
Yeah.
It is something. I felt like, oh, I made it. But I've been professionally assisting editing for the past 7 years, and primarily scripted dramas. And I've done a couple of features. And independently on the side, I do edit some short films and I'm gearing up to just like knock that wall to get the bump up to professionally edit on comedy and dramas. So yeah, that's my journey in the short run. So.
And lastly, Kenny.
Hey, so I'm Kenny. I'm from Pontiac, Michigan, which is like 20 minutes from Detroit. I moved out here in like 2009 to LA, and I actually went to the same school as Victoria Video Symphony. I did not know that she went there.
I didn't know.
We talked about that.
No, we haven't. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, so we went to the same school. I moved out here. I didn't know how to work a Mac computer when I moved out here. So I was real behind. So not only did I have to learn just computers, learn software, learn Avid, all of that. And I eventually took an internship at BET. And that's kind of where I really started getting comfortable and learning under people that, I could connect with more. I got my first job as quality control operator at BET. And then that led to me sitting in on editors and just asking a million questions, and eventually ended up getting my first assistant job on a reality show. And then from there just went on. Sorry, getting a call.
It's okay.
So from there I just went on and ended up getting on my first, it was a sitcom. And that's what got me to the union. It was a non-union show, and it grandfathered me in. And since then, I've been working in the industry. So right now, I'm working on as an assistant. But on the side, I do a lot of my own stuff as well. I'm trying to get more into directing so I can edit my own stuff, just so I can create my own projects. Because sometimes I'm sitting here waiting on side projects that never happen. So I just started creating my own. So,
Just want to ask, what was your first job, and what was the highs and lows of the role as well?
Well, so my first job to get in the door was like a quality control operator, which was cool because it wasn't that stressful. It was me watching the shows and finding other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
So that was real cool. I remember calling my mom like, yeah, they paying me to watch TV. So
I would love that.
That was a super high. But a low was like after a year of doing that, like I just felt like I had enough talent that I want to actually work and get my hands on stuff instead of just watching everybody else. So that was the only real low, and the pay was pretty low. So
gotta start somewhere though.
I feel you.
Yeah, it was the perfect start. Like I wouldn't change it for anything.
That's not a bad start. My first foot in the door was work experience, so the pay was 0. And it was for a local TV channel that did kind of, it was like a news channel. It also did like little pieces as well. And I did a couple of weeks there, and they basically just threw me in at the deep end. I was editing news packages. They sent me out to interview someone. On one day, the studio cameraman hadn't turned up, so they shoved me in front of this huge camera and said, point it at the interview and just do as you're told, so the voice in your ear. And it was terrifying, but it was brilliant because it just got to meet lots of people. You kind of didn't have time to panic. You just got on with it. You just thrown straight in. So that was kind of my first look-see into television. I had envisioned that I would be some big, screenwriter, director, producer sort of person making feature films, and I got a bit of a shock at the reality of what you actually will come out of university and get for your first job. But yeah, it was fun.
That is the nature of the business, to be thrown into the fire. I totally get it.
Yeah.
My first foot into the door was a night assistant editor for this production company called Magical Elves. Their bread and butter at the time, or maybe still, is Top Chef and all the spinoffs. And back then it was Project Runway. But they started me out as a junior AE. Basically, it's like, okay, we can give you 2 weeks of training. And then they put me on to a project. So my first project in reality was a Top Chef's Just Desserts, which is basically about, pastry chefs and all that stuff. So it was a competition series and just grew from there.
In editing, do you begin to immediately stick to strips or the storyboard, or do you interpret it in your own way? For you, Victoria.
I feel like it's both. It's when we first receive the dailies, you know, we organize it, we watch it, and for me, I do cut it according to the script, but it's like it's my interpretation of what, you know, the footage should be cut in this way. I feel like that's the beauty in the editor's cut. It's like, okay, this is my cut, this is my spin on it. You know, I follow the script as closely as possible, but it's not like, you know, each shot is calculated for whatever, you know, line or scene. So yeah, that's how I approach it, because it's my interpretation, and then, you know, you get more people into the room, the director into the room, and they get their spin on it. But I feel like it's a collaboration through and through, because you know, you still have your voice being heard, saying, I don't know, it's gonna work. Oh, but I got this, you know, maybe this will work. Oh, you know, if they're talking about an idea, and you're like, okay, I got something in the back pocket I can show you, and we can, you know, go from there. So I feel like it's your interpretation of it, but for the first pass, I do follow the script. I do not dare, you know, switch scenes, jump cuts, cut out lines. So, yeah.
Could I just like jump in really quick and just ask, like Beth, I've been hearing a lot from American editors recently on the podcast, and they've always said they're always doing a script cut first. And I don't know, maybe it's just an American thing, but is it the same in the UK? I just want to like make sure before I like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, as I say, I don't work in drama, but yeah, we even in. So I work at the moment. I'm not doing any work because we're in lockdown. So I'm just answering the odd email. But when we're in production, I've been on Judge Rinder, which is a bit like Judge Judy and your courtroom shows that you've got in America. But we still we don't get a script, obviously, with dialogue because it's filmed as live. But we still get a kind of script to follow from the producers about what they want in, what they don't want, what they don't want. And then, you know, there's voiceover that needs to be written. So yeah, and for other sort of non-scripted television, you'll get from the producer, or if you're working on a show and you've got an edit producer, which will be me working with the editor, I'll either do a rough sync pull myself, and the editor will work from that, and then they'll put their sort of they'll give their creative input into that, or I'll give sort of like notes, like a rough notes of what the time codes I want in, what sync I want. So we kind of call it like a sync pull. So it's basically what we want in and what we don't. But I know for like for the soaps and things, there's definitely a script for the edit. The editor's never left alone to their own devices, unfortunately. I mean, depending as well on your producer, how good they are, or how much of a control freak they are. I think there's a real nice fine balance between editor and producer. That relationship can be gold if you get on really well and you know each other well, and it can be a real collaboration. There's nothing worse than for either party to feel stunted and that their voice isn't being heard. So I think it's really important that relationship is, you know, you need to be able to read people, you need to be able to compromise, because at the end of the day, you're both working towards the same goal. So yeah, there is some form of script, whether that's a sync pull and you're given a rough cut from the producer, or whether it's a written document. But yeah, definitely.
Very true when you say have their voice being heard, because like when we are in the editor's cut, you know, some of our producers are writers. They may have written the script and they're seeing our editor's cut and they're like, wait, I had this there. Oh, yeah. Why isn't this line here? You know, it's like, oh, why did we jump scenes? It's like, I feel like some shows may give you that creative license to like, hey, you know, just do what you will, like put your spin, jump, whatever. And then like some shows be like, okay, script is Bible. We don't, we just want to see what it is. And then, you know, they'll make the creative decisions to, you know.
Yeah, it's funny you say Bible. Some of our documents are called the Bible. We have a the Bible, we have a Dress to Impress Bible, we have a Countdown Bible. That's where you start. And it's great. It's great sometimes for an editor to say, "This is great. I've done it how the format is, but how about we try this?" And it's really refreshing sometimes to get a fresh pair of eyes or a different perspective. And you'll get some execs, they don't want anything changing. They want it the way it is. But sometimes it's good. They a really good editor will make us as producers look better, and vice versa. That we really should be helping each other. They'll save you bacon. A really good editor.
So, as a creative in a predominantly white field, what was your career path to where you are now? Have you ever experienced immediate judgment because of who you are and not based off of your skills? Let's start with Kenny.
I've never really experienced like being judged.
Except for Revis.
When I first worked with her, she judged. No, I'm joking. No, I feel like every job I've been on embraced me just for my personality and my skills. I've gone on some blind interviews where you could tell they were surprised. Like they didn't, like it was like meeting at a coffee shop and the guy seen me and he was like, "Oh, I didn't," like you could tell he was like,
"Oh, I didn't know you were black."
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Your name didn't seem that way. Like, your voice didn't sound that way.
Yeah.
My name is Kenneth McClendon, so it doesn't jump across. McClendon is an Irish last name, I think. So, yeah, but on every job I started, like everybody is like, and I don't I've never faced or felt awkward in a room with anybody just based off walking in black. But I know everybody else got different stories, so.
That's
Beth?
Well, we're very polite in Britain.
Yes, I've
It's I've never faced in career-wise. I've never faced an obvious that they would have to be quite blatant for that to be the reason. So it's hard to kind of know if you've been judged by the colour of your skin. I feel like sometimes I've been judged, but it's hard to, as well, being a woman as well, you wonder, you weren't expecting a woman, you weren't expecting, a woman of colour. So the only time I've had like a strange reaction to kind of a job, I went for an internal position, and it's come up, and it was a writing opportunity on a soap in the UK, and the job, it was a short-term job over, I can't remember, 8 months or something, 8-9 months, and I really wanted to go for it. So you had to submit work, like a storyline, like an exciting storyline. So I did all that. I got through, but I was heavily pregnant at the time, and it was in another city. So I got the interview, and I was thinking, oh, there's no point me going for this interview. I can't physically do it because I'll be on maternity. But I just didn't want to pass up the opportunity. So I went anyway, and they were very surprised when they met me. I think just when I stood up and I had a huge bump, they were. Well, I don't know. That probably was the main thing that they were judging. I didn't get the position, which was daft really, because I couldn't have done it anyway. It would have been very tricky with a newborn baby. But that's really the only time that I kind of feel like I was judged, because in the interview they kept saying how it was long hours, you'll be on your feet, it's very unsociable, and so that was the only time I kind of felt like they were kind of trying to say this isn't for you. But I've never had any obvious sort of racial, any obvious racial things happen to me in the workplace. In at ITV, especially in Manchester, there isn't very many black or ethnic minorities at all. It's not that my department's racist as such. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One is on-screen presence. There's people coming through from the junior positions. Why I've quite often held. Sorry, I'm going off a bit on a tangent here, but I've held interviews for like a junior role, and I mean, obviously you can't tell from a name on a CV who that person is, where they're from, what age they are. But then coming through the interview process, when I've met people, there's been, I think I can count on I've done this about 3 or 4 times, this process, thousands of applicants, and I can count on one hand how many applicants who've got to interview stage were Black or ethnic minority. And I've been guilty of one girl, because I also champion, I'd really love to get more female editors as well. And there was one girl who on paper, I would never have interviewed her, but she was Black, and I wanted a woman. It was great that I had an applicant of, a Black applicant, and I gave her an interview, and I really, really wanted her to kind of get the position. But at the end of the day, you do have to go with who's got the most experience, who's right for the role. Yeah. And unfortunately, she was one applicant out of thousands, and there's a block somewhere in the UK. I hope and I think it's better in London, but in the northwest, I don't know, and I feel like it's something that comes up and raises its head periodically over time, and it's great that we do podcasts like this, social media are talking about it, the press are talking about it, but I just hope that this isn't just like a flash in the pan and then it goes quiet again and nothing actually changes.
Yeah, because I feel the same way, because when I moved over here from America, me and my family were from down south in London, so there are a lot of Black creatives, and so that made me excited. It's like, I'm going up north, I'm going to do this, it's right next to BBC, everything. But then I could probably count on hand as well how many Black or ethnic minorities I've seen in Media City as a student as well. And I'm not saying that, we got to pick up the pace, but I'm saying that I want more creators. I want everyone to hear our story, not just more slave movies or more movies about oppression. I just want us to be like the next, like Jordan Peele with thriller movies or anything. I just want everyone to be in a space where they're able to really create and not be judged, but then also just have a great experience with it. I'm loving it so far. I just want to see more of Black creatives up north. I unfortunately do not see that. Just saying. And Victoria?
It wasn't even like racial profiling, I guess, but I was on an interview. This was me like trying to get into scripted at the time. I was on an interview, and I was on the second round of interviews, and one of the exec producers was Black, and they brought me into their office and closed the door and asked, I don't see many sisters like you up in here. Like, how you got here? So that was interesting, because back then I only knew a handful of people of color, minorities in post-production, period. So that was interesting, but and only had another instance where, they saw my name, they heard my voice, they just didn't know who they were meeting. And that was about it. But everybody else I felt accepted. That exec producer that I met, I didn't get the job at that time. And I felt like my path went a great way. So, but yeah, that was the only time. But other than that, I felt very accepted. Everyone was friendly. I was able to work well with others. So it was good.
Yeah, I mean, same, like, I got on really well with all my colleagues and execs and bosses. I wouldn't say I feel any sort of negative vibes from them. I do sometimes feel stereotyped, maybe. I at work, if my personality, if something needs doing, I will get it done. I don't mind working under pressure. I sometimes get the stereotype, don't mess with Beth. I'm not an angry Black woman, I'm just busy. So it's kind of done in jest. It's not, which you put up with, but sometimes it's a bit jarring. I'm not moody. This is just my face. I'm happy. I'm a nice person. I do get that sometimes. Sometimes it's warranted, and sometimes I'll use it to my advantage if I need something if I need something done. that, you know, so it's hard. I do feel for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's because I'm a woman or because of the colour of my skin, I do feel I work harder than most. Sometimes I can be a bit socially awkward as well, so it might just be that. It's hard to pin it down as to what the reason is. It can be a bit cliquey in television, and I've always steered clear of like clicky clicks. It's not for me. I'll talk to everybody and anybody. I don't know if that's hindered. You know, you meet some people and they shoot up quickly, and you do question why. You see everyone beneath them working really hard to make them look good, and you wonder how they got there. And you know, maybe it's just they have the gift of the gab, the chat.
I was wondering, being a producer, obviously you're quite, influential almost in your department, but I was wondering if people, lower well, you do have a lot of, you do exert some sort of influence, must you, over your thing, but like, if people do find a point where, they feel like maybe they are having, a hard time inside a workplace, or someone else sees something, what's the best way for someone to go around and address this issue? Is it go to higher ups? Is it report it to within the department? Because it's hard to know sometimes.
Well, as I work for a big corporate TV show, I'm sure I've done some online course about this kind of thing, so there will be an ITV policy on what to do. But from my personal experience, if I felt if I was uncomfortable with something that happened to me, or if I saw something that I felt uncomfortable with, I think the best thing would be to speak to one of your colleagues at the same level as you, and then maybe approach a line manager. There'll always be someone who's your line manager who specifically is there to sort of talk. To sort of manage you as a person in your department, but yeah, I think if I would be, I've always been quite a champion for if somebody feels bullied or threatened or they've been mistreated at work, then it definitely needs action needs taken, and I wouldn't be afraid to speak out. I remember when I first started I was a runner when. Apart from all the work experience that I did for no money, I was then a runner, and I think it's a great start being a runner, because you get to see everybody, you get to see all areas and all different jobs, but you're kind of also not treated the best, I would say. People just are expecting you to sort of skivvy around after them, and I've never really put up with that kind of attitude. Every single person is there to help make the best program they can make, and that includes the runners. They're important. They're keeping everything running, everything going. So yeah, I think it's important to speak out if you see an injustice or you feel like you've received an injustice. You'll normally find that you've got a colleague who you trust. And then I would like to think your line managers got your back as well. Not all managers are great managers, unfortunately. But there'll be one person who's in a position above you that you trust. So yeah, without a doubt, I would definitely report it, and yeah, get it dealt with.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Go on, Nikki. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Recently, a movement called Pull Up or Shut Up is calling out companies to show a percentage of Black employees, especially in leadership roles, to bring light to an indirect or maybe even direct role of having a small percentage of minorities. Do you think representation can be improved in the workplace and on the big screen where you are or what company you work for, Beth?
Yeah, but again, I want to kind of stress, I don't necessarily think it's, as I've tried myself, we don't get the applicants in, so we can't hire. I mean, we do. There's been many schemes within ITV And we've even had specific schemes for diversity. When I first started at ITV, I became there was a scheme that they were running, Diversity Champion, where we were trying to sort of champion internships from Black and ethnic minorities, so that they are aware of this problem. But I think it's also got to come from the education sector as well. We kind of need to work together. It's just whether the people in that position to make those changes are willing, are up for it, really.
Kenny, Victoria?
I definitely think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, just to answer the question, I definitely think representation will be improved in the workplace. Just what's going on with current events and the movements that's going on right now. I think people are finally really waking up and starting to realize it's a real thing, it's an issue. I actually have a friend, Ricardo Handy, who actually he's actually making like press right now because he went into a Facebook group of like, I need an editor, and he asked for people of color.
That's one of my questions. Yeah, that's one of my questions.
Oh, yeah, that's actually one of my friends that did that. So like,
I used to work with Ricardo. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I used to work with his brother Charles too at BET. That's how I met Ricardo.
So, like, your UK audience may not know Hollywood producer Ricardo Handy. Ricardo reached out to Black union editors on Facebook on June 16, 2020. Union editors belong to the Motion Picture Editors Guild. Though Ricardo's wish to meet Black editors is both legal and admirable, he was met with racist response from some of the white editors. The Motion Picture Editors Guild supports Ricardo Handy and is now working closely with him to increase diversity hiring for Black, Asians, and other underrepresented minority editors.
Just seeing how that whole story blew up, and I watched it happen in real time, like comments and the whole thing, and next thing you know, Ava DuVernay was retweeting it, and it's just becoming a real thing. I think it's definitely going to open up like more eyes, and more jobs are going to look around and be like, okay, we have to live up to this, you know what I mean? So I think it's definitely going to make a change. How fast and how big, I think it's going to be a slow process, but I think it's definitely going to happen.
I agree. As far as like knowing what we do, as far as assisting editing and editors, I feel like people outside the industry, some people just don't know what we do, and therefore they're not. I feel like in film schools, it's all about directing, writing, producing, and then you find out about editing. But it's like, I feel like you should find out about editing, or even have like a class or whatever, just to pitch some interest just a little bit before college, like maybe in high school, because I feel like students are just not exposed to the world of post-production as they are with screenwriting and producing and directing, and even like cinematography, knowing about cameras and stuff like that. As far as representation in post-production, because our industry is all word of mouth, networking, getting jobs that way, it's like Beth was saying, clicks. It's like, you are who you roll with, you got your crew. If my crew is full of, like Caucasians or whatever, it's like, okay, that's who I'm going to refer. That's who I know. I feel like studios is with the, what they call above the line with acting and directing and all that stuff. They have like diversity programs. They have all the stuff where they were reaching out for Black talent. But now I see that editors who don't know or have not worked with people of color, who have not worked with Black people, they are intentionally seeking out people, to work with, or to get to know their experience, because it's like, it's not just like, 5 of us up in here. It's a great group of us that have been working hard, but you just don't know us, or you just didn't make the effort to diversify your crew. Like, I've been working in scripted since like 2013, and my first like diverse crew, and Kenny, because Kenny covered for me for this gig, but with Shots Fired with Gina Prince Bythewood, that was like my first diverse crew. And it stems from the top, because I was working with a Black director who had a Black editor who like intentionally had a diverse crew with music editors and sound effect editors, so I definitely do feel that it does stem from the top. It stems from obviously people who have the power to hire and people who go with the intention to diversify their crews, such as Gina, such as Ava, So I feel like, yes, there's definitely more work to be done, but I feel like people are now being intentional of it more so than ever.
Yeah. And with one of the comments on the Facebook post said, look what we've asked to tolerate. The people openly and proudly practicing racism are the ones calling everyone racist to shut them out. White people, it's time to speak up against the anti-white racism so proudly displayed here and in the culture before it's too late. Be brave and stand up to this intolerant mob trying to shout you down. That's the one that really stood out to me. It's just, we're not trying to take over. We're actually trying to put our foot in the door and say, like, we're here. Right. We have the same skill set as you guys. But I feel like the way the commenter, I'm not going to say his name, took it as we're taking over. This is Black power. When we're really not trying to do that. We're actually trying to have our voice seen. Right. Exactly. Right. And I think he took it as a whole different way. That's what I think.
Yeah. I think Gina had like a quote that she tweeted, like a quote that because of all the white men that were speaking up against it, like, what is this? Y'all can't do this. Is illegal. She's like, the ones that are basically feel that their equality are being taken away. It's like they're feeling the oppression. Like they never felt that before, but it's like we've felt that. So we grew up with it. It's like we're not happening. It's like we're not taking power. We just want to be like at in that same like room with you. We want to be at that same and it's like it's been editing or post-production has been known as like a white man's like strong field, and it's funny because like I've worked with one editor where he was like, no one is hiring white males right now, and I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, people are still hiring, but it's like now you have other people that want to be seen, that are talented just as you, or even more so, that that want the same jobs as you. So it's like, oh, you feeling oppressed? It's like
competition now.
Right, it is. I was like, what is this?
Where's this change going to come from, guys? Is it governmental? Is it individual? Is it everything? Is it like, I want to know where we're going to get people to change. You know what I mean? It's been too long at this.
Well, for us, if we're looking for an editor, we're looking at the credits, what show they worked on. We don't care what colour they are, whether they're black, green, white, where they're from, what have they done. That's what we want to know. If we don't know them, what have they done? So it's really hard to get that break because people want to work with what they know, and it just takes somebody brave to take a risk and go with someone they don't know, an unknown. So also it will always come down to talent as well. You can't whatever colour you are, you can't rely on who you are, what you look like to get that role. So for me, I think it's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. I feel like we need to see the people coming up through the junior roles, through the applicants for the positions, the junior positions. So we need to see that, but then we also, as broadcasters, need to be appealing. We need to be enticing. We need to be inspiring. And for that to happen, we need diversity on screen and off screen, high up. It needs to be a push from all sides, from educators to on-screen talent to off-screen talent. I think it needs to be, and it needs not to be sort of a passive attitude where, of course, we welcome everybody through the doors. We're not racist. We welcome everybody. It's fine, but what are you actually doing? Like, it's fine to say you're not racist, but what are you doing to change the status quo? So yeah, action. So I think it needs hitting from all sides, really. And as you say, people move in packs, so it's trying to infiltrate those packs and get into those packs, which is difficult. But yeah, as I say, in post, so not talking about the department as a whole, researchers, runners, APs, just in post production, there's no diversity, sadly. Even in the freelancers that come and go in the Northwest, there's very few. I reached out to one freelancer that I know to see if he would join, but he's looking after his children while his wife's working in this crazy time at the moment, so he didn't want to take part. But he sent me a really nice email about wishing us well in this podcast. He was quite cynical. Though about it. I tend to find freelance editors in the UK. They're kind of like lone. They do sort of have producers that we'll work with him, but they're kind of like lone wolves as well. So we kind of need to look out for each other as well, you know. So once you've made these connections and you get a gig, you reach out to you know, you kind of make your own pack, bring your pack with you, you know. You try and open doors for other people. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know what it's like in LA, but in the Northwest in the UK, it's a hard one, really.
That's, as a Black student, that's why I am kind of worried about, because even though London is great, but I do want to stay up north, doing what I want to do, fingers crossed I actually get my foot in the door. Especially when I had an interview to even get into uni, I thought I have to be more loud and more passionate about what I can do, who I am, to even get a spot in uni compared to my white classmates. Because I just feel like I need to work 10 times harder to even have my name said out loud or remembered as well. So that's what I'm worried about with the whole pull up and shut up thing, that nowadays I think companies are doing it a little bit too late, because we have been fighting for a very, very long time. It's great that everyone have now recognized that they have a lot of white people in leadership roles and not 1% Black people, but even though they push them to the side, I think it's a little bit too late, and they're only doing it now because we're actually calling them out. And I think they had all this time to actually regenerate and rethink about what they're doing wrong. It's great, but it's just, I think it's taken way too long to actually do it. It's 2020. It should have been done by last year.
Yeah, I mean,
before that.
In my experience, I don't feel like you would need to work harder to get a job in post-production, in our post-production department, because of the colour of your skin. You just need to work hard, full stop. Yeah. So we want the best, regardless of your skin colour. We want the best. So I would always say work hard. All of you, work hard, whatever colour you are. We're only going to choose the best of you. And it'd be nice if the best of you was a more diverse group. Students, I'm talking. We want to know what you can do. What software can you use? What technical skills have you got? That's what excites me when I'm looking at junior. When I'm trying to fill a junior role, I want to know what you've done, what you've worked on, can use the equipment. I'm not training you to use the equipment. There will be training involved, but you need to come at a certain level that I'm not having to babysit you. Yeah. And, I'm not going to judge by the colour of the skin for the role. And I don't think ITV in a whole would judge by the colour of the skin. It's just we don't get enough a diverse enough range of applicants. Yeah. It's a real shame.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Beth as far as like working hard and networking, because here in America, well, from my experience, was my network. When I was coming from reality TV, going into scripted, people be looking at me like, oh, you only worked in reality TV, you won't be able to handle scripted. And it really was someone who believed that I could do the job. that took a chance on me and say, okay, I'm going to hire you as my assistant. I'm going to let you do this. And I was able to prove myself and work hard there in order to basically transition solely into scripted. So I agree as far as knowing like your tools, software, and things you can do, but also network, keep up with your network, make those connections. Like once you make that initial connection, still keep up with them. Like I have like people that I've never worked with before, but I've been keeping up with them. They know my name. They will refer me. I still keep up like with the lunches, but nowadays, we're going to have a virtual chat, but at least, right? But at least it's like, your name is still in their head. They know what you can do. And refer you to a gig that may be opening up, and they can vouch for you as well. So, and that was the same with features. I had someone that I worked with, an editor, Terry, who believed that I can do the job and referred me over to Wrinkle in Time. And they're like, okay, she never worked in features though, but we gonna take a chance. And I basically saw myself. I'm like, I've been an assistant here, and I could do this and I could do that. And I was working under my first assistant, Paul, who was basically teaching me the ropes of features. But at least I was honest, which I always say honesty is the best policy. But I was able to, still keep up with Paul. I was able to still, keep up with Terry and say, hey, I'm interested in features. But at least she knew that, because it was definitely like years later where she's like, I got this in mind. You'll be, good for this. So definitely work hard to keep up with your network. Go ahead.
Yeah. But sometimes you'll get a job if you have connected with the right person and they refer you. You'll get hired based on that person because that person is so trusted and their opinion matters. So it's really important to network, really important. You can get a job just based on they won't question what skills you've got. If a particular person has said, yeah, they'll do it, they're good, I recommend them. So definitely, like, networking is so important, and the ability to sort of talk to a range of different people as well.
Can I just quickly, really just, this is a producing thing, but we're running up to nearly, I think it's 11 a.m. for you guys in America. Something
almost
like that.
There, yeah.
Yeah, so I know you guys might need to go or something, so I don't know if you want
Kenny.
Yeah, I'm about to jump off in a few.
Yeah, is there anything you wanted to say before you come off? Like,
any advice, any tips for us, especially people in post-production?
Off the top of my head, my advice would be to never stop learning, involving equipment changing, keep up with the technology, learn new programs, just stay active too. Like I work on shows, but I come home and, like I said, and I work on my own projects as well. Like whether they're short, I do music videos, like social media videos, just anything. Especially in today's time with this COVID situation, like where you can't rely on the productions coming back anytime soon. So you can be doing small productions on your own, learning different skills, different editing skills. Like I've learned editing on music videos is so different than on TV shows. I got to learn effects and all this other stuff. So I would just say, just keep picking up software, like learning new skills, learn new editing tricks, pay attention to different forms of media, like watch movies, but also watch short form stuff and just see the difference. Just stay in the game, basically. That'd be like my biggest advice.
Thank you so much, though. Good luck with the next project you're working on too, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you're staying safe, especially with the pandemic going on. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And for Beth, Victoria, what advice do you have for us as well, and for people going into post-production, for students coming up, juniors coming up?
For students coming up, I piggyback off of Kenny, get to know the software. Mm-hmm. In America, it's mostly Avid and Premiere. Adobe, they're really pushing, they really trying, pushing to be in the professional space of television and features. But Avid is still up there. That's been on all my gigs. And definitely learn visual effects, especially because with this pandemic, with production trying or safely to go into play, there's definitely going to be more visual effect work going in there. Network. Watch the credits. I I watch the credits, look them up, see, see, is there an email address out there?
Yeah.
Like, I'll do a cold email. Like, okay, it's fine. You didn't get back to me in a week. I'm going to contact you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just following up. But always coming from like a genuine place, not saying like, I'm hitting you up because I want a job. No, it's like, no, I watched Legally Blonde. I love the movie. Like, can I talk to you about Legally Blonde? And like, I'm coming from a genuine place where I just want to get to know you. And obviously through that, it's like you get to know my intentions, where I want to go, what my goals are. And just don't let the connection falter or like waver. Don't let it like go, And like once you get in, definitely learn, just as Beth was saying, like, they'll train you, but it's like every workplace has a different workflow or how they work or what have you. So I would definitely work hard on networking, work hard on knowing the software, and be willing to adapt.
Both Kenny and Victoria, I would echo exactly what they're saying as well. With Kenny, just watch everything and anything. See what trends, because quite often what's trend, what if there's any kind of new techniques or rehashed techniques, should I say, nothing's new. It filters down into TV as well. So just keep up with telly, watch it all, watch the rubbish stuff as well. See how not to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, network as well, as Victoria said, is important. And also, don't be put off if you take a real junior role like running. It's a great way to network, to see all the areas, to see all the departments, to see how it all works, the hierarchy, the different political minefields that you can get in TV, and I'm sure in film as well. Just don't give up.
But thank you again so much for being on this podcast. You guys answered all of my questions beautifully. I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys stay safe, especially in the US, because COVID is actually real. If you take a test, there's actually COVID there. If you don't stop taking tests, let's not speak about that. But good luck. And I hope everyone has a great day and a great rest of the summer as well. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us for this important discussion. If you're a Black, Asian, or other underrepresented minority college student in the UK, the University of Salford can provide opportunities to collaborate with diverse creatives to tell your stories and represent the world you want to be seen on screen.
And if you want to get further involved with the University of Salford Film Production Podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at UOS_film production. Anchor FM, where it's just University of Salford Film Production Podcast. We're also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and all in any of your favorite streaming platforms / softwares. And so thank you all very much for watching / listening if you listened. And don't forget to check out all of our previous episodes, which are also great, and all the future episodes that will be coming out soon, which will also be awesome too, which is very exciting. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.